In MoneyWatch, climate change isn't just impacting the temperature outside, it could also be impacting the money in your wallet.
A new report reveals nearly 1/3 of U.S. adults will likely live in counties experiencing hazardous heat by 2053. That is more than 100 million people across the country. Roughly 50 counties currently experience 1 day per year where the heat index exceeds 125 degrees. Nonprofit research firm First Street Foundation says in 30 years, that number will climb to more than 1,000.
CBS News MoneyWatch reporter Irina Ivanova joins us now. She wrote an article about this analysis for CBSNews.com. Irina, welcome. Great to have you with us on set, as always. So tell us a little bit about the process that the First Street Foundation went through to discover this, quote, heat belt.
Yeah, so this model takes temperature data from a whole bunch of different places, weather satellites, land surface information, and then basically it gets into a very small resolution, so you can see it at the property level, and it just models it out based on what we know is going to happen with the climate. So we're pretty certain that going forward, there's going to be a roughly 2.5 degree Fahrenheit increase, knowing that this is something that's likely to happen.
Well, which regions in the U.S. are most vulnerable to extreme heat conditions?
So unfortunately, it's pretty much everywhere, but the hazards look different in different places. So we do have this heat belt sort of in the center of the country where these places are likely to see at least 1 day of 125 degrees Fahrenheit heat index. That is the most dangerous heat according to the National Weather Service. And it's inland for a few reasons. These places are far from water. They don't get that cooling effect from wind over water. They're just east of the Rockies and pretty low lying, so it really traps humidity. In terms of the absolute number of just hot days, triple-digit degree days, we're going to see a lot of those in the south and southeast. And then the entire West Coast, including the Pacific Northwest, will see the largest number of relative hot days. And that just means days where it's hotter than typical. Those are actually the most dangerous because people aren't used to it. And especially in large parts of the north of the U.S., there are houses where you don't have air conditioning. They're not really built to deal with extreme heat.
And so, Irina, how will this not only affect the U.S. economy, but the day-to-day lives of those Americans? When I was young, I lived a part of my childhood in El Paso, Texas, where it gets very, very hot. Some afternoons, you couldn't even get into your car, right? So I can't imagine these regions, what the day-to-day life will start to be like.
Yeah, I was surprised to learn putting this out. Heat is already the leading cause of weather-related death in America. There's about 700 people every year who die from heat. That's, more than flooding, more than fire, more than storms. Heat can make existing health conditions worse, and it can also exacerbate, heart disease, metabolic issues you have. We also know it affects things like crop productivity. So we can't grow as much food when it gets extra hot because the crops just don't produce as much. It affects how much people work. Even people who work indoors are less productive when it gets hot. People who work outdoors, so think your delivery drivers, your farm workers, construction laborers, they may not have the choice to not work or work less. And those people are at much higher risk of, job injuries or
We might have
issues.
to bring back siesta culture for those regions. You understand now why people took a nap in the hottest time of the day and then got back to work when it cooled down, right? I mean,
it's potentially a health issue. I mean, it sounds like, and it really causes us to reflect on how we can kind of address these problems going forward. Irina Ivanova, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.